Hey, minasan!
Hi, minasan!
Konnichiwa. Today on Makusa Lost in World, we are here at Empress Walk Theater for the opening day premiere of the biggest movie this year,
Spider-Man!
Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home. You ready, Ben?
I'm ready.
Michelle! Let's get in. Alright, so in preparation of Spider-Man No Way Home, Sai and I actually went back in time and watched the previous iterations of Spider-Man. Not Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Basically to get caught up on the villains and some of the storylines which we may see surely intertwined in Spider-Man No Way Home.
来る前に予告編も見てきたんですけど、その予告ではその過去の昔のスパイダーマン映画の敵がいたのでこのバージョンのスパイダーマンの予告になので、私はその昔のスパイダーマンの敵をこのスパイダーマンバージョンの映画で見るのが楽しみです。
So now that Saya's caught up on Green Goblin, Electro, Dr. Octopus, and who else is in the trailer? Sandman, and the Lizard. Now that she has background on all those characters, let's see how they intertwine with Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. Very excited to see it. Tanoshimi. So with all the crazy hype that this movie's been getting, and all the secrecy, let's see what surprises finally await us.
今から早速スパイダーマンノーウェイホームを見てくるので、お家に帰ったらレビューをします。
Alright, now Peko Peko wanna kasuita, so let's get some food before the movie. Alright, y'all, so we just finished Spider-Man No Way Home, and
サプライズがいっぱい。
wow, a lot of surprises. And man, as a Spider-Man and Marvel fan, I am speechless. So we'll take the drive home to get our thoughts together, and we'll share them with you when we get back. Alright, see you guys soon.
今ちょうどスパイダーマンノーウェイホームを見終えて家に帰ってきたので、早速レビューをしていきたいと思います。で、レビューに入っていく前にこのレビューはネタバレなしとネタバレありのパートをするんですけど、ネタバレに入る前にネタバレに入りますっていう注意をするので、ネタバレなしで全部のサプライズを映画館で見に行く時のために撮っておきたい方は、私たちがネタバレに行きますっていう時までは全然見て安心なので、ぜひ見てください。それではまずはネタバレなしのパートから始めたいと思います。で、最初にネタバレなしのこの映画のポジティブを話していきたいと思います。
Alright, so starting with positives, but non-spoiler, I'm gonna start with the development of the relationship between Peter and his friends, Ned and MJ. When his identity was revealed, this brought a whole new level of crisis to the life of Peter Parker, obviously. And the way that he dealt with it, with the support of Ned, and of course, his best friend Ned, and of course his girlfriend MJ, you could really see the development of the relationships from the previous movie, especially with MJ. You could really feel their relationship becoming more affectionate and more loving.
ピーターのアイデンティティが公開された時にいくつかの人から批判をピーターが受けたりとかもあったんですけど、この映画ではその MJ の支えがすごい感じられました。絆がもうちょっと深まっていく感じでしたね。なのでそこはポジティブです。
And also like the little nuances between MJ and Peter now. You could really see the development of their relationship, from the holding hands and Peter asking MJ, "Are you okay?" and vice versa, and the support that they give each other, especially MJ to Peter in this situation emotionally, and Peter caring so much about them getting into MIT. It really shows the depth of their relationship and how much it's grown. So I was very pleased to see that, and it could be in part the real life chemistry between Tom Holland and Zendaya dating in real life.
Yeah, could be.
Could be,
Mm.
but they pulled it off really well.
2つ目のポジティブはコメディです、この映画にはヒューモアがたくさん詰まってました、どのシーンっていう特定は、ネタバレになっちゃうんでしないんですけど、いろんなシーンで面白いところがあったので、私はそれはすごい楽しみました。私はコメディ好きとしてはすごいそこは良かったなと思いました。
Yeah, the comedy really hit for me with this movie, and MCU movies are known for their comedy. But, this in particular, Spider-Man has always been known as a comedic character. It's part of his personality. And I will say that through some interactions that Peter and other characters have amongst each other, there's definitely a lot of comedy within those interactions. So, maybe I'll get into it a little bit in the spoiler section. But, yeah, the interactions were quite, some of the interactions were quite funny.
3つ目のポジティブはアクションです。
Alright, so the action in this movie, as you would expect with an MCU Spider-Man movie, you know they're gonna bring it. You know it's gonna be top notch. There was one scene in particular, minor spoiler I guess, but it's essentially when Doctor Strange was fighting Spider-Man in the near-dimensional reality, and this essentially felt like it was ripped straight out of Doctor Strange. So it was really nice to see that Doctor Strange magic dynamic with the mirrored buildings and everything like that, and that put into Spider-Man's world, and seeing how Spider-Man deals with this kind of environment, right?
アクションシーンのスペシャルエフェクトはすごかったです。すごい楽しみました。なので私も。
Yeah, the Spider-Man, the action was really well done.
4つ目のポジティブはストーリーです。アクションもすごい良かったんですけど、この映画のストーリーも良かったです。ネタバレなしの部分では詳細には入っていかないんですけど、すごいいろんなサプライズがあったりとか、ストーリーがすごいよくできてて、あとアクションとストーリーのバランスも私は結構バランスがあったなと思いました。
It was a good balance of action and story, as Saya said. Characterization was really well done. For a Spider-Man movie, that's an absolute must, especially with so many characters. I'm not going to spoil anything yet, but, with different characters coming from different universes, you do have to get the characters right. And I felt everybody had their time to shine. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't think you'll be disappointed if you're a fan of previous Spider-Man franchises. So
最後のポジティブはピーターのキャラクター発展です。
basically the development of Peter Parker individually, and we'll get more into this in the spoiler section. But you could kind of see him going from a kid in high school, and there's certain events that happen in this movie that almost force him to go into a more adult-oriented direction from this point on. So the development of Peter Parker's character was very well done, in my opinion, and specifics we'll get into in the spoiler section.
今までのピーターは他のアベンジャーズのメンバーと比べたらもうちょっと子供な感じだったんですけど、このムービーではその子供から大人になっていくまでの過程が見れたので、これからのピーター・パーカーが大人としてどんな風になっていくのかなっていうのはこれからの映画が楽しみです。私ももうちょっと大人のピーターが見たいのでこれからの映画を楽しみにしています。
Alright guys, so that's all the positives non-spoiler. Now we're about to get into spoiler territory. Alright? So these are spoilers that are significant. If you don't want to find out anything significant before you see the movie, then it's good to turn back now. But
you can come back later after you watch the Spider-Man movie in the theater.
Yes, please. Alright, so getting into spoiler territory. First that I'm going to talk about, and the first big pop that we got in the theater, the first big pop of applause was for Matt Murdock,
yes.
the lawyer for Spider-Man in this movie. And it was a short cameo, but for me, just to see Matt there, and he looks the same. He looks like the beloved character that we know from the Netflix series, and he talks the same. He has the same charisma, the same personality. And the one scene where there is a group of people outside rioting and throwing stuff into Peter's apartment, and someone threw a brick, and all of a sudden Matt caught it like this.
That was so cool.
And Peter was like, "How'd you do that?" And Matt was like, "I'm a good lawyer." That was a cool part for me. And for those who watched our previous videos, they know how much I love Daredevil. That's why he's right here, dead center, and probably the biggest. He is the biggest figure there. So very, very big positive for me was to see the official first appearance of Matt Murdock in the MCU primary timeline.
これはすごいいいサプライズでした。そのデアレベルのシーンは私もすごい本当に興奮しました。マットがスパイダーマンの映画で見れてよかったです。
Alright, yeah, so next positive, the villains. So if you've seen it, you know that this movie pulls villains from the multiverse of Spider-Man franchises, and basically every main villain from the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield franchises. In my opinion, they all had their moment. From Lizard to Sandman to Electro, but the two that stood out to me was Otto Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus, and Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin. I didn't know what to expect really before the movie, if they were going to have large parts, but it was a pleasant surprise for me that Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius and William Dafoe as the Green Goblin, their parts were actually quite significant, with you know, Otto Octavius being a big time supporting character in this movie, and Norman Osborn, who ended up being the main villain of this movie. So I was quite pleasantly surprised, and they both still got it. I don't know if it's CGI that they used, but they look great.
They look the same.
Yeah, they almost look the same. I'm sure Marvel used some de-aging technology, but they look the same. They act the same. Great quality acting from both of those guys. So they really brought it, and again, they still got it.
ドクター・オクトパスに関してすごい良かったなと思うシーンが私はあって、それがドクター・オクトパスが、最初は敵だったんですけど、ピーターの敵だったんですけど、それが最後のアクションシーンでスパイダーマンが他の敵と戦うのを助けるんです。なのでスパイダーマンの味方に変わるんです。敵から味方に変わるので、私はそのシーンがすごい良かったなと思いました。
And now the big spoiler that everybody wants to know. Toby and Andrew, they're back.
They're back.
They are back in full force, and man, they both brought it. Tobey Maguire.
That was a crazy surprise.
Craziness. Big pops of applause in our theater when they both came, similar to Matt Murdock, maybe even a little bit louder.
Yeah, you were like,
But they were going nuts. So we'll touch on each of them individually. So starting with Toby, again, he's known as the original, the OG Spider-Man. Everybody loves him. You know, he's the first one that brought Peter Parker to life, and he's older now. So he's portraying a more experienced, older Spider-Man who's been through years of web slinging. And man, he brought it. He just looks a little bit older, but he's still very fit. He's still the OG to me. He had his significant moments in this movie. I'm not gonna break it down each specific moment, but if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially with Tom Holland's Peter Parker going through a rough time. In this movie, unfortunately, Aunt May dies. So that was a very sad moment, and we'll touch upon that later, how that affects Peter Parker. But there's a shining moment for Tobey Maguire in the end when Tom Holland is in his final confrontation with the Green Goblin. And Tom Holland is actually almost about to kill the Green Goblin. But here comes Tobey Maguire, basically saving the Green Goblin's life, reminding Tom Holland that with great power comes great responsibility. So this was my favorite Tobey Maguire moment. And his interaction as well with the Spider-Man and also Tom Holland's friends was very funny as well. My favorite part was when he was interacting with Andrew Garfield, and because Tobey Maguire is the oldest Spider-Man and he's had, years of crime fighting, his back kind of goes out on him once in a while.
Too much swinging.
yeah, so he had a sore back, and Andrew Garfield shared a tip that that sometimes he needs to crack his back to get it back to normal. So Andrew cracked Toby's back. That was quite funny to me.
Yeah, that was hilarious. トビー・マグワイアは本当にこのムービーで、このスパイダーマンの映画でも、もう最初のトビー・マグワイアのスパイダーマンムービーからそのまま引っ張ってきたようで、もう同じでした。なので、そのトビー・マグワイアのスパイダーマンからの続きみたいな感じで、すごい良かったです。
Alright, now moving on to Andrew Garfield. So I guess the general consensus amongst the general public who've seen each Spider-Man franchise has basically said that Andrew Garfield is the worst Spider-Man. And I was actually in this boat as well, but now that I've seen this movie, I can honestly tell you that that's 100% due to the writing of the Peter Parker character. Andrew Garfield brought it in this role. He was hilarious, and the way he interacted with both Tobey and Tom, and also brought a more tragic element to the Spider-Man, because while Tobey has Mary Jane Watson in his life, and Tom Holland has MJ, Zendaya in his life, Andrew Garfield no longer has Gwen, who died right in front of Andrew. So I'm very, very happy that his character was done justice with the great writing. His emotionality, his Spider-Man is known to be the most emotional of all three Spider-Men due to him crying a lot. That was a lot of the critiques for Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. But with the right director and with the right writer, being able to incorporate his talent for summoning his crying, summoning his emotion, with Tom Watts being able to channel that in this movie, he ended up being an awesome Spider-Man, in my opinion.
Amazing Spider-Man, you should say.
He ended up really being an amazing Spider-Man. So one thing I wanted to quickly mention was a little bit of a hilarious exchange, adding to the comedy, and now we're in spoiler territory, was another exchange between Tobey and Andrew. So Andrew's franchise was called The Amazing Spider-Man, and basically Tobey was joking how amazing Andrew was. Over and over again.
You're amazing.
He said it more than once, and for people that got it, this was a hilarious moment. I think I laughed out loud. I think I was the loudest one in the theater when I heard that. So, very, very good.
アンドリューのスパイダーマンは前のアンドリューのアメイジングスパイダーマンと比べたらすごくよく描かれてたので、私もこのアンドリューのキャラクターはアメイジングスパイダーマンではそんなに彼のキャラクターは好きではなかったんですけど、このスパイダーマンの映画では私もアンドリューのスパイダーマンにすごい好感が持ってました。なので、好きじゃなかったキャラクターから好きなキャラクターに変換した感じです。よく彼のキャラクター構成が前のアメイジングスパイダーマンよりも良かったので、そこはマーベルがちゃんとしてくれて良かったなっていう感じです。そしてこの3人のスパイダーマンは2人とも3人のピーター・パーカーなんですけど、全く全然違うパーソナリティが持ってて、で本当にすごい私はこの3人のやり取りを見ててすごい楽しみました。3人のなんていうの、3人のこの関係もなんかブラザーみたいな感じで、すごい良かったです。なので私は、それを見れたのがすごい本当に嬉しかったです。
The Spider-Man Brotherhood. Yeah, that was really nice to see the camaraderie between all three Spider-Mans, being able to relate to each other's stories, even though their backgrounds are very different. And honestly, with these two previous franchises, to me it finally gave both the original Spider-Man trilogy and also the Amazing Spider-Man franchise true conclusions, as the final chapter of the original Spider-Man trilogy and the final chapter of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 were not great movies. in my opinion. And I think they're universally panned as not great movies. So to have this conclusion as what seems like it'll be Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's final appearances as Spider-Man, it gave us a very, very satisfying conclusion. So this brings us to our favorite scene. And Sai and I actually have the same favorite scene. During the final battle, MJ was in the thick of things with the Spider-Man. The Green Goblin knocked her off the Statue of Liberty at a very, very tall height. So she was falling, and the way they shot it, she was falling to her death, similar to how Gwen Stacy fell to her death.
Very similar.
And Tom Holland, he was preoccupied, so it was not possible for Tom Holland to be able to save MJ Zendaya. So in comes Andrew Garfield swooping in at the very last moment to save MJ Zendaya. Something that he couldn't do with Gwen. And as soon as they landed, Andrew asked MJ, "Are you okay?" And then afterwards, Zendaya, MJ asked Andrew, "Are you okay?" And the emotion on Andrew's face, you could feel the sadness. And in my opinion, this was the best scene because it was so subtle. It was so subtle sadness. And I don't know if it was because Saya and I actually watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2 not too long ago, where Gwen Stacy died, but we really, really, really felt how much he misses her and how much he wished he could have saved her. So, excellent scene.
That was so emotional. I actually cried after that.
yeah, that was great. That was great. That was another one of Andrew's golden moments in this movie.
そのシーンでは私もそのアンドリューがグエンを救えなかったその瞬間のシーンを思い出しました。彼はグエンは助けられなかったんですけど、トム・ホーランドのピーター・パーカーの大事な人であるMJ、ゼンダイア MJ を助けることができて、でそのシーンを見れたのはすごいなんていうか心があったかくなりました。エモーショナルなシーンでした。
Alright, so next positive that we want to focus on is the evolution of Peter's maturity. Now, as we said, unfortunately in this episode, Aunt May passes due to the Green Goblin. And Peter is really hard on himself and blames himself for Aunt May's death and really wants to take it out on the Green Goblin, really wants to go after him, essentially wants to kill him. And when Aunt May passed away, basically she told Peter that with great power comes great responsibility. And this solidifies Tom Holland's Peter Parker's Uncle Ben as Aunt May. If you guys were wondering where Uncle Ben was because of the first two previous franchises, or if you read the comics, there's going to be no Uncle Ben in this franchise. It's Aunt May who ends up being Aunt May and Uncle Ben and teaching Tom Holland with great power comes great responsibility. And this now should lead to a more mature, more adult-oriented Peter Parker. I don't know about you guys, but 3 movies in high school, that's enough for me. There's me as a comic book fan and a fan of the 90s animated series. There's a lot of stories, Spider-Man stories out there when he's an adult. I want to get to those stories. So it was a pleasant surprise to see this, and now Spider-Man essentially coming into his own. He started off as almost an Iron Man Jr., looking up to Iron Man, idolizing Iron Man, getting all his technology and all his suits from Iron Man, and essentially having a father-like relationship with Tony Stark. But now that Tony's gone, and now that Aunt May is gone, he's gonna have to be independent. And I'm quite excited about this. Unfortunately, Aunt May passed away, but I'm quite excited to see the direction where this will lead him.
Me too. アントメイが死んじゃった時は私もすごい悲しかったので、そこはすごい悲しいシーンだったんですけど、そのアントメイが死ぬ前に大きなパワーは大きな責任とともに来るっていうのをピーターに教えたんですけど、その前のトビーとアンドリューのスパイダーマンはアンクルベンが この大きなパワーは大きな責任が来るっていうのを教えて、スパイダーマンはまだこの時まで教わってなかったんですよ。でここでようやくスパイダーマンはそれを教わって、今からアントメイに頼らず生きていかないといけないので、それがもうちょっと大人なピーターに導いていくんじゃないのかなっていうこともあり、私はこの先ピーターがどんな風に成長していくのかが楽しみです。
And to signify Peter's newfound independence, I think it was very well done, the last scene. Throughout Spider-Man's history in the MCU, he's always used Tony's suits, Tony's technology. But in the last scene, you see that there's a sewing machine there, where essentially he's taken parts of Tony's suit, but now put his own spin on things, and finally created his own suit. It's very blue and sparkly.
It was nice to see.
It was very blue and sparkly, but it was really, really nice to see the new suit that signified Peter's newfound independence. So, very, very excited for future adventures with this new Spider-Man. As we know, Tom Holland got signed for 3 additional movies, so he will be in a brand new trilogy. And I'm excited. Talking about Tom Holland now, I think this was the most, in terms of the range of acting that he's had to do as Spider-Man in this movie, he's had to go through so many ranges of emotions. In the last scene as well, again, spoiler, the only way to stop the multiverse from essentially filtering down into the primary timeline was for Doctor Strange to conduct a spell to erase everybody's memory of Peter Parker, including MJ. So Peter goes to the cafe afterwards where MJ works, and he sees now that both Ned and MJ have gone into MIT, which is something that wouldn't have happened if they had remained friends with Peter due to him being Spider-Man. And while Peter had the option to try and convince MJ that he was someone that she had fallen in love with, he chose not to at that specific moment, and you could see him tear up. So A1 acting by Tom Holland. Very excited to see more of his Spider-Man in the new trilogy coming out. So
私たちのスパイダーマンノーウェイホームのポジティブは以上になります。そして今からネガティブに行くんですけど、もちろんこのアフタークレジットのネタバレもネガティブの後にするので、そのアフタークレジットのネタバレが見たい方はもう少々お待ちください。それではネガティブに入っていきたいと思います。
For me personally, I don't have that many negatives with this movie. I do have 2 small negatives though. The first being not enough Daredevil. Daredevil is one of my favorite characters, and he got a very loud pop, very loud round of applause when he first appeared. And it seemed like they were setting him up for something larger than what he got, but he was essentially in one scene that lasted less than 5 minutes, introducing himself as Peter Parker's lawyer, and then having that cool scene catching that brick. But after that, he was nowhere to be found, and I was wondering, where the heck you're gonna introduce Matt Murdock in such a cool way and not utilize him? And I understand, like, there was a lot in this movie, a lot of characters, a lot of story arcs intertwined together, but it would have been nice to see a little bit more of Matt Murdock.
Yeah, it wasn't that big negative, but when I first saw him, I got really excited, and I was looking forward to seeing him more in this movie. So it was a little bit of disappointment that we couldn't see him anymore.
Yeah.
私はもうちょっと彼が見たかったので、これから先のスパイダーマンムービーか何かでまた彼が見るのを楽しみにしておきます。
Because we didn't get to see too much of Matt Murdock in this movie, and with the recent introduction of Wilson Fisk to the Hawkeye series, I'm eagerly awaiting when these two will meet up again now in the MCU primary timeline. It's very exciting times in the MCU for me.
私はデアデビルマットがデアデビルとしてスパイダーマンと会ってほしいです。一緒に戦ってほしい。
Yeah, team up would be amazing in a future Spider-Man movie or Daredevil movie. Come on, Marvel. We want a Daredevil movie. And the last negative that I had was essentially the last action scene, which was well done for the most part. However, and maybe it was because we had those the 3D glasses on, but I had a hard time distinguishing which Spider-Man was doing what with all the action, and not sure if it was the quality of the CGI or what, but maybe if they just played around with the lighting a little bit, we could distinguish between if Toby was doing something or if Andrew was doing something or Tom was doing something just a little bit better. A little bit better. Because unless the camera was really up close, when they were swinging, all three of them, it was really hard to distinguish who was doing what because they had this elaborate plan in place for the final battle. Each of the Spider-Man was doing their part in this plan. However, when the camera was far away, it was pretty hard to see which Spider-Man was doing what. So.
It wasn't a major negative, but 衣装が似てるのもあって、ちょっとどのスパイダーマンがどのスパイダーマンかわからない状態だったので、そこはもうちょっともうちょっとライティングが良ければもうちょっとわかりやすかったのかなとも思います。ネガティブはこの2つだけになってます。で、この2つのネガティブもそんなに大きなネガティブではなかったです、私たちにとっては。では今からポストクレジットシーンのネタバレに入っていきたいと思います。
Oh man. So after all the surprises that we had been through after watching this entire movie, we now had 2 post-credit scenes. What other surprises could possibly be in store for us? So the first one, Eddie Brock Venom. So, and y'all know that we love Eddie Brock Venom. He's right there with his tongue out. So essentially, when the variants started entering the primary timeline, along with all the villains as well, with Toby and Andrew, Eddie Brock actually came along as well. We just didn't see him during the movie, but he was actually present, and he had a quite hilarious scene. He was at a bar, essentially talking with a bartender about the various characters in the primary timeline. They were joking about Thanos. They were joking about Hulk.
Purple monster who collects stones.
Yeah. They were joking about.
Like what?
And then Eddie was like, "No, that's not what an alien does. Not collect stones. An alien actually eats people because Venom likes to eat people." So it was a pleasant surprise to see Eddie Brock in the primary timeline. We knew it was being set up from Venom 2, the post-credit scene. But as he was teleported back to his home universe, there was a little patch of black liquid left on the table when he disappeared. That could only be the Venom symbiote. So my prediction is this Venom symbiote, now in the primary timeline, just like the comics, eventually find its way and bond to Peter Parker. So Peter Parker eventually will be wearing the Venom symbiote and have a black costume, just like the comics. So I'm pretty excited about that, tell you the truth. But I hope that Eddie Brock finds his way back to the primary timeline because I want to see them interact. I want to see Eddie Brock and Peter Parker interact.
Yeah, I like his character.
Me too.
私はコミックを読んでないのでそこは知らなかったんですけど、私はスパイダーマンもベノムのもどっちも好きなので、この先のエピソードでこの2人を一緒に見れたらいいなと思います。
And the final post-credit scene. If you want to see this post-credit scene, you gotta wait right till the end. It literally played at the very, very end. And it was worth the wait. It was essentially a trailer for Doctor Strange's new movie, The Multiverse of Madness. And it showcased him seeking out Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, for assistance, as it appears that something is happening with the multiverse. Very excited for this movie as well. It showed some cool scenes, but it didn't show too much about the plot, the overall plot, but it was nice to see Wanda again. And it'll be interesting to see how Wanda affects the multiverse.
そしてこのクレジットシーンでは実はもう一人のドクター・ストレンジが現れました。そしてこれは私たちがWhat Ifのシリーズで見た
I forgot to say that.
ダークバージョンのドクター・ストレンジなので、このプライマリータイムラインで他のバリアントのドクター・ストレンジとこのプライマリータイムラインのドクター・ストレンジがなんと合います。なのですごい楽しみです。どうなるのか。
Yeah, that's right. So for fans of Marvel's What If, the Disney Plus series, they'll be pleasantly surprised that the happenings in the series are canon and officially part of the MCU. As, like Saya said, the dark version of Doctor Strange will meet the primary timeline version. So, looking forward to seeing what kind of conflict that creates.
Yeah, very much. それでは最後にバーディクトに入っていきたいと思います。私はこの映画すごく楽しみました。この映画は実はアベンジャーズのエンドゲーム並みにもういろんなサプライズがすごい一つの映画に詰め込まれてて、でこれは2時間半にちょっとのムービーだったんですけど、そんなに長く感じませんでした。一つ一つのサプライズがすごい良かったし、それに結構いろんなキャラクターがこの映画には詰め込まれていたんですけど、なんか無理やり感は全然なくて、なんか一人一人のキャラクターが輝くシーンがあって、そのマーベルはそのみんなにその一人一人の場面を与えたのはすごい良かったなと思いました。で私はアクションもストーリーもすごいとても楽しんだので、これはぜひ皆さんはMCU ファンやスパイダーマンファンの方はもう絶対見るべきな映画だと思います。
Yeah, so I'll keep my verdict short and sweet. Essentially, this was Spider-Man Endgame for the Spider-Man universe to me. That's what it seemed like. It was awesome. It was the best live-action Spider-Man movie to date. I still rank Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse higher, but that's another conversation for another video, maybe. But by far, the best live-action Spider-Man movie. It was the perfect conclusion to Tom Holland's first trilogy, his home trilogy, finally putting an end to his high school life. And as well, perfectly wrapping up the first two Spider-Man franchises as well. So it served as a very satisfying conclusion to not only one Spider-Man franchise, but 3 Spider-Man franchises as well. So it now sets up Spider-Man's future in the MCU, and it'll be interesting to see who Tom Holland's Spider-Man will meet in future iterations. It'll be fun for me to actually see a more experienced Spider-Man on screen rather than the inexperienced version that we have here now. So very much looking forward to that.
全体的に私たちの感想はとてもポジティブな感じでした。私たちはとってもこのスパイダーマンノーウェイホームの映画を楽しみました。皆さんはどう思ったでしょうか？もしもうこのスパイダーマンノーウェイホームを見た方はぜひコメントで皆さんの感想を教えてください。それでは私たちのスパイダーマンノーウェイホームのレビューはこれで終わりになります。見てくれてありがとうございました。この動画を楽しんだ方はぜひチャンネル登録とこの動画にLIKEをお願いします。それでは今日は以上になります。Make today magical and
have a marvelous day. ありがとうございました。And see you again in the next video. Peace.